Welcome to the NewsHour. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to take up the question of whether President Trump's order ending birthright citizenship is legal. The decision follows Trump's appeal of a lower court ruling that struck down his executive order as unconstitutional. At issue is nothing less than the future of the 14th Amendment, which guarantees citizenship to anyone born or naturalized in the U.S. It's another major Trump immigration policy to reach the court, and the outcome could redefine a core principle of American law. The case will be argued this spring. Separately, a federal judge in Florida has ordered the release of materials from the 2005 and 2007 grand jury investigations into the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. A similar request was denied earlier this year, but U.S. District Judge Rodney Smith said he is now granting the Justice Department's renewed petition in light of a new law Congress passed last month requiring the department to disclose all of its records related to Epstein. It remains unclear when the documents will be made public, but the law sets a deadline of December 19th. The Virginia man charged with planting pipe bombs in Washington, D.C. on the eve of the January 6th Capitol attack reportedly confessed to the act in interviews with investigators. 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. did not enter a plea at his initial court appearance today. Sources familiar with the investigation say Cole believed Donald Trump's false claims about being cheated out of a victory in the 2020 election. Law enforcement officials have not publicly disclosed a motive. Cole is due back in court mid-December for a detention hearing. The Trump administration has unveiled its national security strategy. That's a congressionally mandated document that each administration uses as its worldview. This one focuses overwhelmingly on the Western Hemisphere. The 33-page document said the U.S. would reorient its global military presence with a focus closer to home, countering migration and combating drug trafficking. It also took aim at longtime European allies, saying they hold unrealistic expectations for the war in Ukraine and making clear that the U.S. wants to mend its relationship with Russia. The document also calls for an end to NATO expansion, and it charges Europe with taking primary responsibility for its own defense. Residents in eastern Congo say fighting still rages on in that country despite the peace deal signed by the Congolese and Rwandan leaders in Washington yesterday.
They talk every day, but the wars never end. For example, they are signing the peace agreement, but the fighting has continued. We ask our leaders that discussions be fair and truly bring peace.
Others expressed cautious optimism about the deal, even as fighting intensified in recent days between Congolese government forces and M23 rebels believed to be backed by Rwanda. The region has endured decades of conflict rooted in the fallout of Rwanda's 1994 genocide and long-standing tensions between ethnic groups, among other factors. Congo and M23 agreed to a ceasefire just last month, but both sides accused the other of violating it. On Wall Street, stocks closed positive for the day and the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained a little more than 100 points. The Nasdaq rose by more than 70, and the S&P 500 inched closer to its all-time record high. The largest ever FIFA World Cup is beginning to take shape as soccer fans worldwide learned their country's opponents when the global tournament kicks off next summer in venues all across North America.
This is shocking.
United States of America!
President Trump and fellow host nation leaders Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico and Mark Carney of Canada kicked off the draw from the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. A record 48 teams will take part in next year's tournament. As for the U.S. draw, we're set to face Paraguay and Australia, and a European playoff winner that will be decided in March. During the event, President Trump was also named the winner of the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize, which he declared one of the greatest honors of his life. The prize, seemingly tailor-made for him, comes as Mr. Trump has openly campaigned for the Nobel Peace Prize. In other sports news, one of the most impressive streaks in the history of sports came to an end last night. LeBron James, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, failed to put up 10 or more points in a regular season game for the first time in nearly 19 years. James had a chance to extend his streak on the final possession, but passed the ball for the game-winning assist instead. He was held to just 8 points in the Lakers' win over the Toronto Raptors. His scoring streak started in 2007, by far the longest in NBA history. After the game, James said he had no regrets about passing the ball, adding simply, "We won." And a passing of note, famed architect Frank Gehry has died. He passed away at his home in Santa Monica, California, after a brief respiratory illness. Gehry was the genius behind some of the most imaginative buildings ever constructed, like the Guggenheim Museum in Spain and the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles. Sleek, fluid, mind-bending structures that look as mathematical as they are original. Gehry won just about every architectural accolade, including the field's top honor, the Pritzker Prize, which called his work refreshingly original and totally American. Our arts and culture correspondent, Jeffrey Brown, spoke with him back in 2015, where he responded to critics who called his designs showy and overwhelming.
They're not ego trips in the negative sense of an ego trip. I mean, you see a lot of so-called architecture that part of the ego trip overpowers the functionality and the budget and all that stuff. So it's the essence. It's finding an essence. Why be expressive on the outside? Because everything around isn't.
Frank Gehry was 96 years old. Still to come on the NewsHour, David Brooks and Jonathan Capehart weigh in on the week's political headlines. And we sit down with actor Nick Offerman for the latest episode of our podcast, Settle In.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington, and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.